Here today to the first Boston Marathon Training Program Clinic of 2014. Congratulations to everybody who is registered in the race. If you have guests with you, thank you for coming and supporting your runner. My name is Mark Davis. I am the Communications Manager here at the B.A.A. I manage the website. I'm the one that bombards you with all the emails and updates, and hopefully be providing you with more and more information as it becomes available. We know a lot of people are going to have a lot of questions as we're getting into April, and we're going to try to answer them as soon as we know them. So we ask you to be patient as we start to work out this great event that we're going to have. This is going to be a big event on April. We're really excited about it, and we're really very appreciative of all the support of not only the runners, the entire global running community, of course the cities and towns, the local municipalities, state and local authorities, everybody that's been involved in not only last April's race, but of course the planning for this great event in April coming up on April 21st. We've got a great event for you tonight. The theme tonight is flexibility, and you'll start to see as we go out through the evening the dual terminology that we're going to try to parlay off to you in that term of flexibility. Next up, what I want to do is I want to introduce our B.A.A. head coach, Mike Perroni, who's going to introduce another fellow gentleman with the B.A.A. and get into tonight's clinic. And again, the theme today is flexibility. So I'd like to welcome up to the stage Mike Perroni.
Thanks, Mark. It's tough to follow the president anytime you speak. So we're, again, as Mark said, our executive director, Tom Grove, said, this year is going to be a special year. It goes without saying. By the show of hands, when asked, is this your first Boston? For how many folks, is this your first marathon ever? How many first marathon, right? As Mark said before, a lot of newbies in the audience. We want to just go over some basics. How many folks are following a training program, either through if you're running for a charity or you're doing something online? How many folks are following any sort of training program? Good. That's from point A to B. You need a roadmap, and a training program does that for you. There's not one ironclad training program out there that's going to get you what you need to do, but there are some basic fundamental things you can. The good news is most folks here are local, so you can go out and train on the course. That doesn't mean every day, but getting yourself familiar with the course is important, especially the hills. If you live around here, a lot of nice flat areas along the river, you're in the Back Bay, but getting some passive hill training is important in your everyday runs, and then maybe some specific ones. But as Mark said, this is about flexibility. And with the start of the year and the weather we've had, no matter what the training program you had, and it's saying Monday 20 miles or Thursday 6 miles, you needed to be flexible with that. And there's some basic things you could be doing to adjust your training to get yourself to the starting line healthy, fit, and ready to go. You have some basic challenges and obstacles to your training. You got your life schedule. That means if you have kids or you're in a heavy romance, you have a lot going on. You have to fit everything into your training program. They have illness up there. Obviously, there was a lot of bugs and viruses going around at the beginning of the year. Inevitably, you're going to get sick. That means you're going to need to take some time off. And when you take time off, you can't just jump back into your training, what it says in any sort of training program. Inevitably, you'll have an injury of some kind, hopefully something minor, and we'll talk a little bit later about how to sort of avoid getting into that situation. And as I said, the weather. We've had by all accounts, a very difficult first part of anyone's training cycle, whether it's a 20-week program or a 16-week program. You started off, and it's been not the greatest weather to do all that, so you need to be flexible. Talk about flexible again. Patience. You need to have some patience. You can't say, stress out, it's snowing out, I'm supposed to meet up with some people and do an 8-mile run on the river. You gotta, find out when you can maybe meet the next morning when the paths are clear. The main thing with any program is to be consistent. So that doesn't mean every week you're progressively you're adding on 2 to 5 to 10 more miles a week, building. You just need that consistency, and that is in the form of your long runs. Hey, I've put together 3 to 6 good long runs over the past 2 months. That's good. That's being consistent. It's not, I haven't done one yet, and I'm looking to get started this weekend. So consistency with your training, your everyday running, the gym work, the everything. Just it's the total package that gets you to the starting line in the best possible shape. So work demands, family schedule, you got to shuffle things around. Boss says, guess what? Got a new project, you need to work through the night. This happens here frequently. Any students in the audience? Students? Feel like a student, but you have to be flexible around all of those things. There's some things you can do. You could switch a midweek workout to doing something on the weekends. Obviously, the weekends are a little more free with people's times to get that long run in where you're spending 2 to 3 hours on your feet. You can reduce the mileage on a tough day, and then maybe add on extra later on. Seek out company with a similar schedule. Hey, I have to get up at 4:30 in the morning to train. Do you? At show of hands? No. So you have to, it's good to find 1 or 2 people, maybe co-workers, or if you're in a charity group, you can ask around to see what other people's schedules are like. Oh, I can only run at 7 o'clock at night, that type of thing. There's some things you can kind of, if you're on a limited time schedule, commute run. If you have the ability to grab a shower once you get there, that's great. Okay, it's 6 miles from my house to work. I can take a shower, that's great. Or I can run home after work. A lunch run, again, just to get it in. I don't think we talk about it too much, but how many folks here regularly, by that I mean once or twice a week, train on a treadmill? Obviously, like I said before, with the weather we've had, that's pretty common. So, there you're less susceptible to the gyrations of the weather, and you can get in and run that way as well. As I said before, no one's going to get through the next 3 months without some sort of sickness. And what you don't want to do, you don't want to say, I feel something coming on, and I'm going to try to tough my way through it. You want to just do some basic things. If you back off, your body can get use a little more of the energy fighting off whatever's going on, rather than you getting in an extra 2 to 6 miles. If you do decide to tough it out, you got to keep the intensity a little bit easy, and back off on maybe the pace and even the length of your runs. Injury, you run on the course on a Sunday, on Monday you say, wow, my quads really hurt. That's general soreness, stiffness. That's not probably to the point of saying, oh, I need to see the doctor. So you almost need to be your own doctor of sorts and kind of listen to your body and know when to back off with things. But if you do run into something that's very serious and sharp acute pain, you should seek appropriate advice from a professional. And then you might be in a situation where you do need to do some cross-training options, whether that means you go to the gym. There's a myriad of things you can do to kind of keep the cardiovascular system, up and running. It's not a total substitute for running, but it does help extend your fitness. Again, as I said before, with patience, you got to realize it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. So, taking some time off, realizing when you let your body rest, heal, and cycle back up in a gradual manner. Again, at the bottom there, I said you might have to modify your training goal. Wow, I was really hoping to break 4 hours and 30 minutes. I've lost some time. I might need to adjust that. And as you get closer to the race, that's when you really need to be hard on yourself and say, geez, training didn't go as well as I expected. Maybe you did a a race just to get a sense of where you're at, and that didn't go well. So you need to be realistic. It's a long way, and you don't want to be headstrong and just try to bull your way through whatever your goal was 4 months, 6 months before the race, if things haven't gone well with your training. Some basic things here with the weather, gloves, hat. You know, what you can also do too is find some areas here in the city that may get, if you notice that they get plowed regularly, maybe the mayor lives on the street, so that's a good place to go and find. But obviously, the river, areas like Fresh Pond, there's some you know, parts of Newton along the carriage road that are good. College campuses, sidewalks, you know, areas that do get plowed regularly. What you have to get, you find a 2-mile loop and you need to do a 10-mile run, you might have to do it 5 times to get it in, instead of getting out there on the marathon course. With extreme cold like we've had, you know, you're going to have to slow your training pace by, you know, 10 to 15 to 20 seconds per mile. You know. Headwinds, you know, again, you're not going to say, geez, I'm looking at my watch and I just ran 8:30 and I was supposed to run 8:20, but you're running into a 20-mile-an-hour headwind, you know, that happens. And then when you hit a turnaround point and it's at your back, you're going to be running probably 30 seconds faster. So again, with the uniqueness of the Boston Marathon course, those are all things you'll experience out there in April too. You know, you think, oh geez, I'm running into a headwind, and then you crest Heartbreak Hill around Boston College, and next thing you know, you have a tailwind for the last few miles, or vice versa. So getting used to these conditions, there is a silver lining. It'll get you ready for whatever Mother Nature has on race day. So that's how to be flexible with your training program. As we mentioned before, there are other things you should be doing to get yourself to the starting line as healthy as you can. That's listening to your body, following the training program, being sensible with your race goals. But there's also some, you know, being flexible. The more flexible you are, the better chance you're going to avoid injury. You're going to train more efficiently, and overall have a better experience.